What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the next installment of Comic, Cosplay, and Cinema, the Triple C, brought to you by Nomadic State of Mind. I am your host. My name is Jake. You guys know me as the Foggy Knight, and joining me, as always, my co-host, Lee Lawson. Lee, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm always great when I'm here, man. I can't think of anything better than sitting here with you talking about comics, cosplay, and cinema.
Let's do it. We talked about DC on our first two episodes. Now we're here to talk about the flip side. That is the universe of Marvel. We're going to Avengers assemble this thing, and we have a very special episode. Why don't we break down what exactly we're going to be talking about today?
Well, we're going to talk about, first and foremost, Ant-Man just came out recently. Ant-Man, so we're going to talk about the third one in the trilogy.
Yep.
We're going to talk about that, the Quantum Realm, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Quantumania,
there you go. Talk about that. Then we're going to talk about Marvel in general, what's in store for Phase 5, the things they've done that have been exciting, actually.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about Phase 4. Really, this is going to be all-encompassing Marvel,
yeah.
MCU, just diving into it. But first and foremost, as we said, it's Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yep. So I got a chance to see Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. I think this was a movie that they really had high hope for because it's the introduction, the first real true introduction for Kang, who is kind of set up to be the big bad of this upcoming saga that's coming forward. We saw him briefly in Loki, but this was really his first time to shine, and we see him as the big bad of Marvel now. I think the best way to do this is we're going to give our initial impressions. We'll dive into what we liked, what we didn't like. So I'll start with you, just your overall impressions of this movie. What'd you think?
He wants the fandom to get mad at me first.
Yeah, you first.
Exactly. No, it was good. It was good. I walked out. I love to go to superhero films for escapism, just movies in general, right?
Yeah.
But when I also come out, I also feel hyped up.
Yeah.
I'm ready to almost fight somebody, stop the villain, and stop the bad guy.
Yeah.
Bad stuff that's going on. I didn't feel that with Ant-Man and the Wasp.
No.
I didn't. You know what I mean? I thought it was a good movie. I loved Jonathan Majors in it.
Yeah.
I thought he was great. What a great, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
what a thing that he's having here, 1-2 of that,
no kidding.
3, you know what I mean? Coming out soon. But it didn't grab me, and it wasn't thrilling, it wasn't exciting for the first movie of Phase 5.
Yeah.
You know, it was no Iron Man.
Right.
I use that as an example. That's the first movie of Phase 1. You know what I mean? And it just didn't grab me. And it doesn't have me excited to see what's upcoming. The best left said about MODOK. I don't know if I said that properly, but I just thought that guy was not. I was a little unimpressed with him. And for somebody who's supposed to be, a mechanized organism designed only for killing, you let a girl who just became a superhero pretty much take you out.
Yeah. The ultimate weapon.
Yeah, you know what I mean? The ultimate weapon, and that's how you're treated. Just lots of things, man. I thought it was good. Again, I'll sum it up by saying it was good. It wasn't great, and I'm not excitedly excited about what's happening upcoming in Phase 5.
Fair enough. I kind of was saying, I mean, obviously before I had gone to see it and before anybody got a chance to see it in theaters, we had saw the critic score was not very good at all for this movie. So I don't know if that helped when I went into it, because I kind of had a low bar going into it. It was better than I thought it was going to be. But I was disappointed by this film as well. I think if you're just a typical moviegoer and you just want to go have some popcorn, have some fun, and just kind of take your mind, I think it's a good movie for that. And if you're going to it with that mindset, you enjoy it, and it was fun. But overall, as far as a movie setting up, 1, your big bad going forward, 2, your entry point into Phase 5 after, let's call it what it is, a very disappointing Phase 4, it just I didn't come out excited for what's to come. I agree with you wholeheartedly about Jonathan Majors. He was fantastic, as he is in everything that he's in. I thought he was by far and away the highlight of this film. And every time he was on camera, he was fantastic. But I was disappointed. I really was. It's not... It wasn't like the old days of coming out of a Marvel movie. You're like, gosh, I can't wait for what's next, and man, I can't wait for what's. I just didn't feel that. Yeah,
and I think too. We could say all day, and he did do a great job. Jonathan Majors did do a fantastic job, right?
Yeah,
what he was given, but at the same time, I'm not. Kang, the character he's playing, set up to be the new Thanos, right?
Yeah,
and the stories he tells, he's killed many Avengers throughout different time or multiverses, which is another thing I haven't
Not Ant-Man
about. Yeah, but then Ant-Man all of a sudden he comes up against Ant-Man and he stops him.
Yeah,
and so to set up this guy as being the ultimate bad, I mean, we've already seen him get beat. So are we supposed to be terrified of what he's going to do in the MCU?
Yeah. Well, I guess. I guess we'll start with some of the stuff we didn't like then, because I'll just piggyback off of that. I thought the same thing. I'm like, this is a guy who you're basically saying is like Thanos in a sense that you need to assemble everybody to stop this guy, and you take Ant-Man, who granted he's not the low end of but like he's not even one of the first 10 people you would think of that you would need to, you'd think, oh, you're gonna need like Thor, you're gonna need like Captain Marvel, but then Ant-Man, it's like, what?
He talks about how he's killed Thor. I mean,
exactly. I was like,
guy. It was so not even important to him. He doesn't even recall the guy's name.
I'll start. I'm going to start with some of my gripes with some of, I guess, the more simple stuff, and then work my way down, because unfortunately there are a few. We talked about this previously, but visually it really bothered me, the special effects. This was the first time, especially in a Marvel movie, where I assume they shot a lot of this in the volume, very similar to like Mandalorian. There were a couple scenes where I could literally tell where the set ended and then the screen started.
Right.
It just didn't look real at all. And to the point it took me out of a couple scenes, because I'm like, I can literally see a set in a screen, and the special effects were just not up to par of what you would expect and what we've seen. And I think part of it, granted, we're not in New York, we're just a couple of special effect characters, but the whole world is, in special effects. And visually, I don't know for you, but visually I caught several times where I'm like, I can literally see. Did you?
There were times, I guess, where I didn't think the special effects were quite up to snuff, to your point about being in a Marvel movie or just a big budget movie like that in general, right? Outside of even just the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
That it didn't do justice to what we're supposed to be seeing. I mean, this is our first foray into the quantum realm, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And all these new characters and stuff that they're introducing. It just didn't do it quite.
Right.
Didn't grab me, and I definitely noticed some flaws.
Yeah.
But I guess that's what the rumor has always been, right? Is that people are rushing into this.
Yeah.
That Marvel is definitely like having all these projects, and we'll get into this
and
more,
so many,
so many projects coming back to back to back to back, to where they're not allowing these special effects houses to really do a great job.
Yeah.
And the seams are starting to show.
Yeah, it is. What are some of your, I guess, one or two the biggest things that you just couldn't get into about, or that gripes that you would have about this film?
There's lots of things, right? And I guess, I mean, if you wanted to look at it as a movie, I never really quite understood why, if we're talking about this movie in general, why Janet has never mentioned it.
Yeah.
Anything
little
about all
I forgot about that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? This whole experience that she had for 30 years in the quantum realm, which makes, you could kind of understand that why she didn't.
To protect you guys.
Protect you guys, but then she sent Scott in there before.
Yeah.
Remember, he was trapped in the quantum realm for 5 years.
For a long time.
Yeah, for 5 years. And to not tell him before he went in, there's just all these little things about her experiences there that didn't, to me, make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And also, I just never understood why the first place we've got, and this is kind of going outside of this is another gripe I have in general, Janet Van Dyne should have been who Hope is.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's one thing I don't really love either. That's a whole nother story. But you guys, comic fans, know that Janet Van Dyne is the Wasp. You know what I mean? And she's there shoulder to shoulder with Captain America and all that stuff. Not Hope. So that's one thing. But that's been for all the Ant-Man.
Yeah. Which is fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a couple major plot holes where I was like, immediately kind of took me out. Once I realized them, I was like, okay. So number one, Kang, and kind of there are a lot of Kangs.
Right.
They realize that this Kang is so bad they need to trap him into the quantum realm and make sure he never gets out. But in his ship, they put the device in which, if fixed, can get him out of the quantum realm. Why would you have that device in his ship to be able to get out if you don't want him to get out?
Right.
But then you leave him something where he can't get out.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Plot hole number one. Number two, the very end of the film during the fight, we're seeing one of my favorite scenes up until this moment. You're seeing Kang just like he snaps. He starts just evaporating everybody because he's Kang. He's the big bad. But here comes Ant-Man. He's evaporating. Sees Ant-Man, stops evaporating, and goes, I'm going to start punching instead of using my evaporation. I could incinerate you in half a second right now, but let's have a fist fight.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's like, why? What are you doing?
That makes no sense. You're right.
The last one was at the end when Hope comes through and they think they're trapped in the quantum realm. And all of a sudden, they're like, let's go home. How did they know that all of a sudden, wait, now you can fix it like that? Right. And how did you know that you could just all of a sudden go home?
And also, how much time? Because time is supposed to have passed.
Yeah.
Really, doesn't it pass quickly?
Seconds and months.
More quickly while you're there.
Yeah.
But it's almost like simultaneous. Yeah. They're sitting there on the other side.
And they're still there, still bloody. Like
to
just
pull them out.
Yeah.
So I was like, that I definitely.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So yeah, those were my big. And again, I thought the MODOK, he had some funny lines, but you took this ultimate weapon and they basically used him as a jobber, which basically was to make jokes.
He was a henchman. He's supposed to be the leader of AIM.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's a big bad himself.
Yeah.
And to make him
a joke.
A joke, like he was. I mean,
he really was.
And also, that's talking about special effects too. I thought he was a little shaky. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've seen a lot of memes and GIFs of MODOK.
I mean, that was another part where they kind of faltered a bit, to point out the special effects on that.
Yeah.
So no, I thought that was, I just didn't understand how they could have this guy who's decided, first of all, what is the joke there? I did like that joke in the movie about it should be MODOK.
Oh yeah.
Which is true if you're thinking all the words there, letters. But no, yeah, he was another big letdown for me.
Yeah. Again, those are just some. This movie wasn't a dumpster fire. It wasn't horrible. There were some highlights. I think for me, again, Jonathan Majors as Kang, his performance was fantastic. Number 2, and I've been saying it, nobody messed with Hank Pym. That man, you get to. It's cool because like going back to the old school comics, you realize he's one of the most powerful in a certain way because he's so smart, and to see kind of him have that moment of him being the hero, was really cool. And I love him, Michael Douglas as Hank Pym. I think he does a fantastic job. Going to this movie, I actually was kind of nervous about the Cassie character. For whatever reason, in the trailer, she came across as kind of like annoying, but I actually thought she was really good. I thought she was one of the highlights of the movie, and she did a really good job. And the dynamics of her and her dad was really good. How ironic and how handy that. Oh, you were a thief your whole life, but your daughter is like, wow, she is smart. It's crazy how many genius IQ level people just so happen to be Avengers. And I am like, okay. Like, I mean, I get it. I mean, Hank Pym is your grandfather and stuff like that, but it's just like crazy to me. How many genius level?
Not her grandfather. I mean, that's her adopted grandfather.
Yeah.
Not even by blood, really.
Yeah. But I'm just like, it's just ironic how many genius level IQ people all just happen to be superheroes at the same time. But I thought she did a good job. And then it did have some funny, there
was some comedic lines.
The comedic lines, obviously Paul Rudd's will always drop some funny lines. And I thought some of the humor was good and in the family dynamic. Seeing Bill Murray was cool.
Yeah.
I actually forgot that he was in the movie until he showed up. I was like, oh yeah, huh? Yeah. That was a cool surprise. What were some of the highlights? Because this movie wasn't a dumpster fire. So
kind of just went over them, right? I mean, there were some cool scenes, I guess. I mean, falling into, and I saw it in 3D.
Oh, okay.
I thought.
How was it in that? Because I did not.
So besides the special effects flaws that we already discussed, I mean, it was actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nothing will. I do realize, though. I mean, take a quick segue when Avatar came out, right?
Oh yeah.
I saw that in 3D. I remember years later, I was still chasing that same high.
Yeah.
Literally, I wanted to see get that same high
level.
from the 3D experience, right? So this is Avatar 2.
It's still the bar.
Freaking set it. It was incredible.
Yeah.
So seeing this movie, I was like, if I'm going to see any movie in 3D, it's going to be this because Quantum Realm called for it, and it just didn't achieve that same.
It's not Avatar.
That same level I was looking for. It just wasn't that great, but it was still cool. It was still cool to see. I mean, I thought that it was cool to see Majors again. That was a highlight. I don't like they need to do a better job with Kang.
Yeah.
They need to really
1,000%.
And also the Kang that I'm familiar with is Time Traveler.
Yeah.
That's
that's what I thought he was too.
So
yeah,
they're not really clear on what his powers.
Yeah,
you know what I mean with the multiverse stuff. Is he just got somebody who can travel through the multiverse?
Yeah,
is he a time traveler? What exactly? And again, they didn't just show what makes him so
bad.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
That's very true. Now I think about it, they didn't do a very good job of, you understand, like with Thanos, like he's super strong once he gets the Infinity, and they explain that when he gets all the stones, he can do this and he can snap away, and they set that up.
Yeah.
I mean, you see him like again evaporating people, but they don't really do a good job. Like, what does he do exactly? Yeah. Like he's just kind of like, even in a quantum, like what exactly is he conquering? Like he has this army. Like why? Right. Like what? I don't understand what is his purpose other than trying to get out.
And what is the army? I mean, are these
too,
people that he's conquered and then assimilated into his?
Yeah.
See, like the Borg. I mean, you know what I mean, or what is it exactly? You know, for a Star Trek reference there, but
the Bonga Prosper. It's a very good point. They didn't do a very good job of setting up, and you didn't even see exactly where this came. Like, I don't know if he's dead, if he's still down there. They didn't really, for sure, 1,000% really tell us where he is, the state of him. Is he even around anymore?
What Kang is the bad guy? Is it just going to be the Council of Kangs, or is that the nemesis? However you want to say it of this, or just which Kang are we supposed to be following? Also,
well, and the thing of it too, if this is the big bad Kang and he lost to Ant-Man, again to your point, well, I guess you're gonna need a lot of Kangs to defeat the Avengers, because just Ant-Man beat you. Like, I don't know.
And those are our highlights, guys. No, I'm just
but I think this is a good
that's what we liked about it.
That's it. But I think it is a good transition, because going forward, to me, you really needed to nail this, because you're setting up and trying to get the hype level going for Phase 5 off of, again, a very subpar Phase 4, and to me, I'm more confused, and kind of like the best days are behind us as far as Marvel.
I guess
and it is what it is. Marvel has lost its magic, so I think it's a good way to segue into that. As far as Phase 4, what are your impressions of Phase 4? And because I think we're all in agreement that it wasn't the same. Post Endgame has not been the same since.
Right, and let's give it up for them first of all, because without Marvel, I mean, they're the most successful Hollywood franchise out there.
Oh, by
They
far,
definitely are. I mean, they did such a thing to where other movie studios tried to imitate.
Yeah.
They could not duplicate. A lot of them failed right off the first movie. The Mummy, for instance. They were trying to create this universe, you know what I mean? The horror universe. All these universes were supposed to pop up and take off. So much.
Oh, yeah. The greatest run in the history of...
Fantastic.
I mean, an average of $1 billion gross box office for like 20 movies.
Yeah.
Over a decade.
And indeed.
Like
over a decade.
And honestly, I don't think we'll ever see that again.
No. I mean,
hopefully DC. But it's going to be very... It's going to take something very, very special to replicate those kind of numbers on a consistent basis.
I agree.
And with characters that weren't juggernauts going into when this whole thing started.
No, they were not. For people like you and I, right? And again, just kind of, we all know this. People like you and I, we knew Iron Man, we knew Captain America, we knew Hulk, Thor. We knew those guys, but people don't remember they were not household names.
Yeah.
All the A-list Marvel heroes were sold off to different studios, which are Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, the X-Men, Daredevil, Punisher.
Yep.
Those were all this. So then, for the Marvel house to do what they did to take these B-list heroes and to create something that the DC's A-list heroes are chasing to achieve is amazing.
And even characters like D-level, like Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, what?
Yeah.
At the time, it's crazy. Now people are like, oh yeah, but I can promise you in 2005, you had no idea who Guardians of the Galaxy were.
I do remember that.
I had to look up who they were.
I was like, is this the Inhumans?
Yeah.
Is this a team that the Inhumans have?
Yeah.
You know what?
I mean, it's amazing what they did with some of those.
So it is. So that's amazing. So we'll say that. So then we move into Phase 4. Phase 4 started off with Black Widow. I was one who actually enjoyed Black Widow. I really did. I thought that continued the high. I was always confused as to why they had to go back.
Well, I'll put it like I liked Black Widow. I thought the timing of it was horrible.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The timing.
You killed her in the movie before, and now we're getting her movie.
Yes.
You know, I was like, okay, but the movie itself was good.
I did. I enjoyed that. Shang-Chi, second movie out, right? Great movie. I really enjoyed that. Then we get to the Eternals. I can say that I enjoyed the Eternals.
I did not.
I know you were not a fan, right?
And a lot of people, by Marvel standards, it was okay. This is not quite. And same for Black Widow. It was not.
It's the first rotten that they had too.
Yeah.
That Marvel had.
Yeah.
Which was amazing.
But even like Black Widow wasn't like Iron Man. Like it wasn't like people were buzzing about Black Widow. Like
right.
It was the start of okay, like this was good, but. Okay, this isn't quite what it's been, and it's gone down.
Right,
but
we all agree that
Shang-Chi was
right?
good, yeah.
And then, but the Eternals, it was a little slow, it was a little off-putting to some.
Universally, though, it was not received the way that. Yeah,
I agree. Universally wasn't. Like I said, it was their first rotten movie, right?
Yeah.
Up until
Ant-Man.
they stood alone until Ant-Man. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So then we got, and I'll get to the TV shows they had a little bit.
Oh yeah.
All right. Then we get to the other next Phase 4 movie after the Eternals. I think was Doctor Strange. I don't think.
Well, technically Spider-Man.
Oh my God. Yeah.
No Way Home, which. That was the cream,
of Phase 4. You know what I mean? That was fantastic. What they did and brought the different Spider-Man back.
Yeah,
that one was,
and that was no matter what phase that would have been. That was a absolute no-brainer.
I can't believe I almost skipped
grand slam.
That was fantastic. Actually, that was great. So we get to the highs of that. We were still riding off the highs of Spider-Man, and we get to Doctor Strange.
Disappointing.
Multiverse of Madness, and that bummed a lot of people out.
Yeah.
In hindsight, there was no way they could really live up to the expectations of what they had promised us, though.
Yeah.
And this isn't something we created. They promised us that
this is going to be what? Yeah.
A crazy journey through the multiverse. Like, I thought we were going to see different variants of different heroes and stuff like that, because that's the way they set it up.
Yeah.
So they set themselves up to fail, in my opinion.
Yeah.
On that.
And even what you did use was very minimal.
Yeah.
You know?
No, we spent most of the time, yes, we fell through the multiverse and we got to see the cool cartoon world and all these other different worlds, but we spent most of our time in that multiverse in a different, with Mr. Fantastic and stuff. So that was cool to see Captain Britain come to life, who had been introduced in What If, and all of that. But then we get to
Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
And people are still scratching their heads over that one.
Yeah.
That would make...
With one of the OG Avengers, too.
Yeah.
To me, it was funny because we had gone so long up to that point of these new people. But it's like, okay, Thor. Like, I felt like I'm home with Thor. Like, this is... And honestly, he's my... Thor, for me, of the original group, he was my favorite character of that. And coming off of Ragnarok, which is still one of my 5 favorite Marvel movies ever to come out.
Good.
Man, they just went way over the top with the comedy and the...
It became a parody.
Yeah.
It was almost like a Naked Gun version of a superhero movie. You guys who remember the Naked Gun series or Airplane, like a slapstick, parody film.
Disappointing.
So disappointing. And then Black Panther, which was the Black Panther 2.
Yeah, which to me was disappointing.
It was disappointing. It was, and it didn't reach the highs
for some reasons, as expected. I understand. With
of course,
but still disappointing. It was not to me even close to the first one, nor give me what I wanted them to do.
But I do think out of the Phase 4 films, that is probably, and then again, it's not, we're working with a lot of great ones here.
Yeah.
But I say that's top
outside of
Spider-Man.
Outside of Spider-Man and then Shang-Chi, Black Panther around.
Oh, you put that even below Shang-Chi? Okay, got it.
Yeah, I like Shang-Chi more.
All right, cool.
I did not like Black Panther 2.
Right. So we just named, what, 5, how many movies? I think
Black Widow, Shang-Chi,
so
Eternals, 6 movies. I like
6 movies, 2 movies, right? So that was Phase 4. Now and
then shows.
Phase 4, we have the shows, right? I think they kicked off with they did great. I think, in my opinion, we'll go with the first show, WandaVision.
Hated it.
You hated it. See, I actually enjoyed it.
I liked one episode.
What the very last?
The last episode,
because they got into it then, and they were But I could appreciate it. I think because I enjoyed the little comedy that was being shown.
Yeah. There were pieces I appreciated.
Throughout, you know what I mean. And I recognized that.
Yeah.
So I appreciated it.
The reason is the main thing. The further I've gotten away from it, and then when I saw Doctor Strange the Multiverse of Madness, the way it ended, other than her having the book, it went from like, you watch that sitcom and then you see her in Doctor Strange. I'm like, what the hell? Like, there's nothing that explained to me why she ended up other than the loss of her family. But now she's this horrible person, you know, and granted, but like, it wasn't that much time. Like, the Darkhold did all that fast. Like,
right.
She goes from, oh, I'm an Avenger to, you're a dick. You suck, you know? And to me, it just didn't do it for me as far as that. I couldn't get into it.
So you couldn't get into it. So for some, right?
Yeah.
I did.
Most people liked it though.
I did appreciate
Most people did like
but
it.
For some, much like yourself, it was a stumble. So they were stumbling right off the bat with that first episode.
Yeah.
Now, did they regain their footing, in your opinion, with Captain America? Or I'm sorry, Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
I thought.
That was your second show.
That's my favorite of the Disney Plus series of them, but it was okay. It was good. But I really like Bucky and I really like that character. I would say for me, I was more invested in that show going into it than the other shows. So I will say for me, I thought it was good, not great. But again, it's a TV series. It wasn't like a movie.
Right.
You know, but it established Sam really well. I thought it established Sam very well.
Yes. And I thought they handled both characters actually very well. I would say I definitely probably.
That was the one I did
enjoy WandaVision, but I thought Captain America. Well, that's how it is.
Now he's
Captain America and the Winter Soldier. That is probably my favorite.
Well, and two, for me, also, I thought that did the best job of establishing that character, what's going to happen for them going forward. Right. That was the one. And I was like, okay, I get where this is going.
And they started off with. Yes, it's sad, but you're right. They did put it on the path that we're going to see in the that he takes the mantle and runs it into the movies.
Yep.
But it was also something that about these are characters that we're familiar with already, right?
Exactly.
So that's kind of why we both went into. You went into WandaVision, I think, excited.
Yeah.
It didn't do it for you.
Right.
But you obviously were excited about Falcon and Winter Soldier. You do those characters.
Yeah.
We know Loki too. All right. That brings us to our third. I will just say right up front, and I know I am in the minority. I know I am. I didn't like Loki. It was a chore for me to watch Loki. It literally was. I literally was like, I have to watch this only because I am now need to know what happens in every part of the universe. And I'm wrong. My cousins loved Loki. I think you did not.
I've watched Loki 3 times. I've bailed on Loki 3 times.
See?
I hate Loki. To me, that's the worst show of the bunch.
See? But you and you and I stand in the minority because apparently that's the most favorite.
Yeah, I don't get it.
The highest rated.
I don't get it.
All of them too.
I really don't get it.
You know, I didn't either, man.
This is my problem also with Loki going to. This man has died so many times and not been dead that it's to the point I'm like, what's the point? Like, if he dies, I don't care because I know he's alive.
Right.
Like I just I don't even care anymore.
Right.
I love him as Loki. Tom Hiddleston. He's amazing as Loki. It's too the whole time I just can't.
So you weren't excited for the stinger at the end of Ant-Man that leads us into
Loki? I was again. I've been wondering like, what is again? I've bailed on the show 3 times.
I can't believe this. So
I've only seen the Kang part of Loki on YouTube. So I don't even know the context.
You had to watch. You just couldn't get through.
I looked up. Oh, Kang. Okay, so I need to look up the scene where Kang's in Loki.
And again, another high point, right? Jonathan Majors.
Yeah,
played another version of the He Who Remains. Played another version of Kang, but a total complete 180 of what we saw in Ant-Man. You know, I don't like the time. I just can't get into any of it. So that's the thing too, right? Why they're faltering is because nobody knows where they're. It doesn't. They haven't. I think you mentioned this earlier, so I'm reiterating what you said. With Thanos, we knew he showed up in the Stingers. He had a little bit more scenes in the first Guardians. So, but we knew what Thanos was trying to do and what would happen if he did what he did. Yeah. We don't know what anybody is trying to do in this in Phase 4 yet, and Phase 5 didn't give us any clearer idea of the path.
Well, that's exactly right. To your point, going up, it all led to Thanos, but also we knew who the heroes were. We saw the Avengers assemble, and we watched new people get dragged into we knew who was going to fight, we saw how it all tied in. I don't know who the hell's in the Avengers. I don't know what version is which version and which is the right version. And okay, again, now you're working as big bad, but like, which one is it? Because there's like 6 million Kangs now. Right. I don't know who the hell's a bad one, who's a good one, who's this, and oh, he's in the past. There was one doing Shakespeare. I don't know how he ties in. It's so confusing with the multiverse, and for any multiverse story, forget Marvel. If DC did it, if Star Wars, when you start dealing with these variants in time, and it's cool, but it can get very, very confusing to pick up on what the heck is going on.
I'm confused.
I'm
and
totally
you and
confused.
I would consider people who are well versed in the lore.
Yeah.
And we have no clue.
We're one of the 5%ers.
We expect somebody who's just like, what movie will we go see today, family?
And
who's not a Marvel, maybe seen one or two Marvel movies to go in there and be like, what the fuck?
Okay, well, this is, and I had said this to you in the past. To me, again, and we touched this on with DC, we're like maybe 5% of the movie going audience where we read the comics, we know the storylines, we know the adaptations they're pulling from. When you were going into let's say Captain America and the Winter Soldier, great film, you could have not seen any Marvel movie before that, gone to see that movie and been like, I like it, I understand what's happening right now, I get it, I can enjoy it on its own. If you didn't see WandaVision and you saw Doctor Strange, you'd be like, what in the hell is going on right now? If you didn't see Loki, or at least you'd be like, who's this guy? What is it? You have to, they're forcing you to watch everything to understand what's happening in their stuff. And they're relying on the audience to have watched everything to make sense. And it's still kind of convoluted and confusing. So for me, that's been their biggest slip up, is I just want to be able to just go enjoy things, go into it and be able to enjoy it for that installment and not have to be like, okay, I needed to watch this and this and this and this and this. And it's, but
I still think that's not necessarily true, because we do love the breadcrumbs that are left in those films. You know what I mean? I just think they need to make it a better, just a truer, clearer idea.
Exactly.
So we stopped at Loki. After Loki was Hawkeye, because I want to finish this phase.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Four.
Yep.
So after that was Hawkeye.
No.
So you were,
and nobody in that show was the lowest of the I think universally reviewed, probably because too there just wasn't like a big clamoring, I don't think, for, I think it was more, like, you've been an OG, we're gonna reward you by giving you a show, right? But it's not even really your show, it's just Kate. It was fun, I think, for me, like as a younger audience, I think that's a great one to watch if you have like kids, and enjoy it. You could take that out, and I don't think it really ties in anything.
Well, they introduced Kate.
Yeah, but I mean, are you going to use her?
Yeah, I think in real life circumstances might force them to use her now.
Yeah,
consider what.
Oh well, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But I enjoyed Hawkeye. I stand on the opposite side.
Yeah,
I actually really enjoyed Hawkeye. I liked the fact that they brought Kingpin in.
Kingpin's cool.
You know what I mean? And that was really, maybe that did a little bit more for me, because that was the 1-2 punch of seeing Kingpin and Hawkeye, and then a couple days later seeing Matt Murdock.
Well,
and Spider-Man.
Okay, so here
they were both released.
So this is what I think about No Way Home. Is the story is it's a good movie. Seeing Toby and Andrew would make it great. Yeah, it's the nostalgia, right? So I think seeing Kingpin, if you're a fan of Daredevil, that's gonna but if Kingpin wasn't in it, were you like gloating about it until that point?
No, I mean I still think. I mean, of course, obviously. Kingpin enhanced it. Yeah, that made it part of enjoyable for me. But even without him, I still think I enjoyed Hawkeye. Okay, I really did. It was a little something. I like that they brought, and I really enjoyed. Didn't talk about a highlight of Black Widow was Yelena.
She's great.
Her character. Her
character's great. Yeah,
the fact that she was included in Hawkeye was also.
Yeah, she's great.
I enjoyed that, because I think she's fantastic.
She
is.
I
think if they're replacing Black Widow, out of all the replacements, so to speak,
she's perfect. Yeah,
she's the one that's going to really, take that baton.
I agree. Yeah. She's been one of the highlights of the newer Phase post Endgame. Yeah.
So okay, now help me out, because maybe I might lose some track now, because we had Hawkeye, Moon Knight.
Disappointing.
That was the next one.
Started good, and then it got just worse.
Moon Knight was another one where I found myself having to do it as a chore.
Yep.
It did start off good. And
it started
Moon Knight
off good.
Was barely in it too. I mean, I know Moon Knight.
Yeah, I know.
But we never saw him all decked out in his garb and everything.
I know.
But it was a chore for me, and I finished it, but that one was a chore.
Yep. And then it got really wonky.
It did. It really did. And I don't really know much about Moon Knight. That's another guy that
well, part of it is, he was made as Marvel's version of Batman.
Yep.
And watching that show, I did not get Batman vibes. I got, this is just quirky, and Oscar Isaac was phenomenal in it because he was playing different versions of himself, different accents, and he was phenomenal. I give him all the props. The costume, but I didn't feel like that badass that Moon Knight's supposed to be. I just
never saw him really.
You didn't see it.
We saw different personas pop up, but they weren't in the Moon Knight garb. So another disappointment that we really agree on.
They're like, man, these people hate Marvel. I love Marvel.
We do. We really do.
But we're calling it what it is,
that, right? But we are calling it because enough. That's why I wanted to talk about Phase 1, 2, and 3. We loved it. I'll never understand to this day how they did such a great job with DC. How they just crushed them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It should have been DC having that glorious march through the cinemas. Yeah. But Marvel did it, and they crushed it.
Yeah.
Now we get to She-Hulk. I think.
Miss Marvel.
Oh, Ms. Marvel. I know people didn't. You probably didn't even finish Ms. Marvel, did you?
No.
Did you even start Ms. Marvel?
Yeah. I watched episode 2, 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
And I was like, man, just can't. It's to me. I maybe this is the Batman fan in me. Too light for me.
Right.
Like it was just like I'm like, man, I just can't. I know about the Captain Marvel switch out at the end.
Yeah.
Which will lead into the Marvels, which I think would be cool. But yeah, I just could. It was very kiddie feeling to me. Like it felt like a children's show, and it took me out of it.
It almost felt. I'll tell you what it felt like to me, and I don't know if I considered Spider-Man kiddie, but it was that from that point. They're both high schoolers,
yeah.
So you know what I mean. They were kind of they have that high school point of view, so it did take on that type of feel. I guess it was a high school show.
Yeah,
it was. I thought it was good, not great. You know, and again, Ms. Marvel is somebody who's only been in the comic world created within the past decade.
Yeah, she was pretty. That Avengers video game.
Marvel, I'm talking about to be.
Yeah, Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel. Yeah,
that video Avengers game. She's like a prominent character. I think that really like kind of catapult to some degree. People are like, oh, who's
that game flopped too?
But I mean, people are like, oh, who's this character?
Right.
Like, and she was using there, and then not long after they brought the show out, so she had this like double whammy of headlining a show and headlining in a game, whether it flopped or not. She was in it.
Right, but what I'm trying to say is that
she's new,
a relatively new character within the comics world, created in the past decade. I don't even think she's over 10 years old.
No, I don't think so either.
So she's a relatively new character. So I will say I didn't know much about her. I was aware of her because I don't, but anyway, we got to that. Then She-Hulk. And did you
I did. I watched all of She-Hulk.
All of it. I will say for me, She-Hulk was the one I was most excited about only because I don't know if I read She-Hulk, her own comic, but when I was growing up, she was a prominent member of the Avengers.
Yeah.
And she was a prominent member of the Fantastic Four at times.
Yeah, yeah.
I read both of them. So that's how I was
excited about She-Hulk too.
She-Hulk, you know what I mean? And Bruce Banner's cousin and all that stuff. The show, I watched it all. I hung in there. It was hard at times for me.
Yeah, very hard, yeah.
You know, I got what I got. I don't understand it was a sitcom feel.
Yeah.
So I could appreciate
They
that.
tried to Deadpool her.
Yeah,
The third person, the breaking the fourth wall. Yeah. Like the way they set up like how Marvel worked, like Kevin,
at the end.
I loved everything that Daredevil was in it.
Yeah.
And I thought, again, think that all the actors who are in these I thought have done fantastic job for they're doing what they're told to do. I thought she's great. I was disappointed as well. Like there are a couple things in the show. And again, the biggest takeaway it did for me was make me hate this new version of Hulk more and more.
You are not a fan
and
of
more and more. Well, here's like the first Avengers film. Remember that big flying? Yeah. And he punches it and it stops. Can't move Hulk.
Right.
She hits him with a Jeep and he goes flying. I'm like, the Hulk against a Jeep should split the Jeep in half.
Right.
It's
you're
come
right.
on, man.
No,
like he's so stupid now, and I'm like, I want.
What do they call
the Hulk?
They've nerfed him. They've
oh my god,
100%, and I don't get that either.
I want the Hulk.
And the finale for She-Hulk was just terrible. I thought.
Oh yeah,
it led up to what you thought was going to be, and you know what? I love the big action-packed finale. So hate me if you want.
Yeah.
But they teased us, and then that was just it was terrible.
It literally is a tease.
Yeah. So as you can tell, right? If we went through all of Phase 1, 2, and 3 films, I think we would have positive things. And barely negative things to say about any of them.
Maybe one or two.
We just talked about every project in Phase 4, and they all.
There's nothing other than No Way Home where I'm like, oh yes, like yes, Even the good aren't like, oh my god, that was amazing. Like there are so many Marvel films that I still remember where I sat, where I was, what I was wearing when I saw the first Avengers, Iron Man, the first Thor, because I love Thor, Ragnarok. I have such vivid memories of my experience with these projects. and how I felt coming out of it, and just being like, I remember the first time I saw the Avengers, I was like, I cannot believe I'm seeing multiple characters together. It was nuts. And some of like the crowd react. I mean, there were a couple, like Infinity War and like sporting event level crowd reactions to stuff. And just like No Way Home, when the Spider-Man show up was really the only time. I mean, it was just like, dang, I came out of everything just like, man, I missed the old days. That was what I said every time. Just like, man, I miss the old days. And
so really, this is the only time, if you think about it, right? DC is somewhat primed. Really, if there was a time, and maybe this was meant to be, if there was a time for them to come out,
hand the baton over.
It's now.
It's now.
I mean, so maybe they run for that 12 years now and give us that. But because I do say this though, and I think you've said this, so I might be still in your point. Sorry if I.
No, go ahead.
But so we talked about phase. I think we ended with phase 4 stuff. Now phase 5 was Ant-Man, but on the horizon, and which is what they have going for them. I don't think you think it's going to work for them, but I think Marvel has in their back pockets, right? We just talked about how there was a lot of A-list characters not available to them. Now there is. With the Fantastic Four, and the X-Men, and Daredevil, sort of.
My only count is Fantastic Four because I don't think they're A-list characters anymore.
Right.
I would say they're. I mean, I was reading a thing. They haven't even been used in the comics in like years.
I'll tell you why though, and I think Marvel might have shot themselves in the foot a little bit when they didn't have access to the Fantastic Four, right?
Fox did. Yeah.
So they really wanted Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
They really did. So
because they're the founding family of Marvel.
What did they do? They actually stopped writing Fantastic Four comic books for a little bit. So they
made them irrelevant.
They really did. That's almost giving 20th Century Fox at that point, that free publicity. And these guys weren't making any money off of those characters. You know what I mean? They had the rights to them. Marvel didn't have wasn't making any money. So they literally took them off the playing field. They did. Now they're trying to put them back into the A game.
I think one of the funniest things is because I think their big pocket. I think Guardians is going to be fantastic. That's the one part. Like I would be shocked if I'm disappointed with that movie. Especially the trailers look phenomenal. Isn't it funny that the one guy who might salvage what's going on in Marvel is the dude who's now heading up DC, and he's the one who might. And let's call it what it is. And we've talked about this in the car. DC wants Marvel to do good. Marvel wants DC to do good because you're helping the genre. If a DC movie comes out and it's fantastic, the next superhero movie, if it's Marvel, it's only going to boost it, and vice versa. So it is kind of funny. I do think, again, Guardians, maybe because we've been associated with them for so long now, that might be part of it. But I do think that project's going to be really, really good and fun. And hopefully going forward, just what they need to do. I just need to know who is fighting this big. Like they need to start. I think they've been like leaking these like little strings of this is where it's. You need to start. Okay, where's the payoff? Like what is actually coming together? And I know we have like Captain America: New World Order. We have a Daredevil show coming. And I'm sure he'll tie in somehow in some movies. They've started writing Spider-Man 4. They've announced that. Fantastic Four. To me, X-Men's their ace in the hole that they're holding on to, because that's going to not only just be like one movie, but there's so many characters. That's like a universe within the universe. Right. You know what I mean?
I've actually heard, I don't know what you think about this, but we already know what Phase 5, and do we know what Phase 6 is called yet?
No.
Right? It's just Phase 5 is the whole...
The Kang Dynasty, yeah.
I've heard that maybe the mutants won't even be announced until
Phase 6.
Phase 6 will be the mutant saga.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I don't know. I kind of, do you want them to do that?
I would not mind. I genuinely, and I've seen the synopsis, and I'd be curious of other people. I would love, and I think, talk about getting the magic back, Avengers versus X-Men.
Right off the bat?
Right off the bat. I would have the mutant saga.
Right.
Let them shine. But within it, just like but have it more like Civil War, where it's like maybe the Avengers think there needs to be some rules and regulations to control the mutants or whatever, and they're like, no, like we just have these are gifts that we were something like that, and there ends up being a conflict that builds to that.
Well, that's been tough. The X-Men lend themselves to that because that was their.
They fought each other multiple times in the comics.
You know what I mean? But that lends itself to the whole persecution. They were kind of created as like it was a analogy of racism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because people were always like treating mutants as a lesser.
Exactly.
All
just like the animated series. It's all based off of that.
The supremacists who come in there.
just yeah.
I'm just joking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so we're going to run these mutants. No, I don't know. Maybe we lead to that, but I want to see them all being cool at the end.
That or Doctor Doom. That's the other. He's the only big bad after Kang. I mean, to me, even more than Thanos. Before, if you said who's the big bad of Marvel, I'd say Doctor Doom.
Yeah, Doctor Doom. I look at him as he's the opposite of
him and Galactus.
Luthor. Well, I'm looking at Lex Luthor as I look at Lex Luthor as one of the main nemesis in DC.
Yeah,
Doctor Doom fits that same level for me in Marvel.
Right.
But here's my one negative with Marvel. I'm excited to see Fantastic Four and X-Men come in. Really excited.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to miss is what, as fans, we've always wanted to see Reed Richards interacting with Tony Stark.
Yeah.
I want to see Professor X interacting with Steve Rogers. Yeah. I want to see, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And guess what? We're not getting that.
No.
We're really not. I think that's one thing.
And
that's a big flaw that Marvel has. And I think that they
and it's some part of his natural. I mean, these actors are 50, 60 years old. They couldn't keep around forever. And unfortunately, because of the rights, you can't have your heavy hitters with your heavy hitters anymore. Now it's, Captain America, Sam Wilson, not Steve Rogers, and Iron Man's going to be Rhodey or Ironheart, not Tony Stark. And it's just like, it's cool. It's just not the same.
No, it's not
especially if you're a traditionalist.
That's what
like when I think of Captain America, I think of Steve Rogers. That is Captain America. Bucky Barnes is the Winter Soldier. He's not Captain America. He's been Captain America, but that's who he is. Falcon is Falcon. That's who he is. And you're taking these sidekicks and trying to make them the spotlight now, and it's like.
And that's part of their problem.
I've seen him as a sidekick for years now. He's a sidekick. He's not the guy. I mean, he didn't have powers. You know what I mean? But I guess, one question I'm curious about, obviously Avengers Kang Dynasty, who are the Avengers? Who do you think is leading the Avengers? Who, to you, I guess if we who do we think is going to be in the Avengers? I think Spider-Man.
Yes.
Captain Marvel.
Yep. I think Captain America is right there.
Captain America. Rhodey.
Yep.
Maybe. I mean, he's older, but I think he'll still. Do you think it'll be Rhodey or Ironheart?
No, I think we have Rhodey in the Avengers. I mean,
Shuri?
Yeah, she's there. Black Panthers. They're not going to leave her out. She's going to be right there.
Namor?
I think
they said he's back.
Yeah, he is back, but I feel like he's going to be. I still think he's going to be like an anti-hero. Not part of the Avengers, so to speak. But he might be fighting with them. You know what I mean, or something like that. We might not see him again until the X-Men, though. Who knows?
Maybe. Who else?
I mean, we said Captain Marvel, Captain America, which is
Miss Marvel.
Ms. Marvel, maybe. I mean,
Kate Bishop?
I think. Well, if I do think that they are leading us all into this to have all of these heroes combined, and I think that Spider-Man might be the one who I've heard rumors that he's the leader of this new.
I see, because I think the no-brainer people are like, oh, it's Captain. I don't think that Captain America can be the leader,
right?
Because you still, Thor. Do you think Thor will be in the Avengers still?
Yes, I do.
At that point,
and maybe his daughter, which is crazy, but anyway.
Yeah. Thunder. Yeah. But I mean, that's the point. It's just, but we don't know. That's all speculation on who will be and whatever. But I don't know. What about the mutants? How do you think how would you tie them into?
Well, they've already. That is one thing they've done, right? Is they've planted the seeds already. Once in Ms. Marvel, they've kind of changed it because she's an Inhuman.
Yeah.
In the
they made her a mutant,
and they made her a mutant. They actually had that was one cool thing. I don't know if you even saw it. They had the X-Men instrumental.
I've seen it on YouTube.
Instrumental play. In the background. And then they introduced Namor. So they've planted the seeds for mutants.
Yeah.
I do believe though. Because I don't see how they fit into this Kang dynasty.
Yeah, I
think it's what I've heard, and I tend to believe it, is that the mutant saga will be its own thing. So that's how they integrate them in. You know what I mean? It's not going to be in the Kang thing. It'll be more like these things start to pop up more and more. And that's the big question too. Is from X-Men and Fantastic Four, nobody wants to see their origin stories.
No.
So where have they been?
Yeah, that's my where have they been?
Yeah,
there's the X-Men
this whole time.
Yeah,
that everything else has been happening.
I know.
And I don't know. Maybe Doctor Strange put put a like he did with Spider-Man. Maybe he's made everybody forget mutants. And maybe
Yeah. Well, I tell you one thing I do say, and it's smart that I think they are doing a retconning a little bit is, with Bob Iger taking over at Disney, he has said they're gonna start toning down on these projects. They're not going to be 9 projects happening at the same time. Nobody can put out that much content at once. I don't care who you are and be successful. It's too much because during phase 1, 2, 3, you have your best guys working on every project.
Yeah.
If you have 3 projects going on, you can have a couple guys over here, but you have like your C squad. Yeah. Like you have to hire in new people. And there's several projects. Kevin Feige didn't even touch at all some of the projects. Like he was zero part of it. Yeah. And it's obvious. So I think I think Marvel has realized now.
Oh yeah,
we're slipping a little bit.
And for you and me, like I remember being excited that we were like almost like every other month we were having this comic content, which is great, but then how disappointed we all are. I remember if we could go back to looking at the beginning
when they first announced Disney Plus, we were like, oh my god, same.
Something all the time.
Yeah.
And now we're looking at all these projects and talking about how
bail, stop. Yeah.
But yeah, as you just said, right? I mean, Marvel's has been pushed back to November.
Blade.
Blade's been pushed back, but and I think that they were going to at one point have Ironheart this summer or this year.
Iron Wars this
year. Secret Invasions. And now those rumors are only going to be 2.
Yep.
Which
I think is smart.
Echo was supposed to be out this year too.
Yep.
Who was introduced in Hawkeye, another character that was introduced. But yeah, it is. I think it is. I'm okay with getting started.
Oh, and we have Thunderbolts coming.
Oh yeah, Thunderbolts. Not 2024.
Yeah,
I think so. I'm better to have
less is more. Sometimes
I was really excited about the quantity
over or quality over quantity.
But now I'm more on the quality over quantity part.
Yeah.
So
yep. Let's see where they go. Do you have any last? Just in general, are you optimistic? Nervous?
I am optimistic because, like I said, there's some cool characters that have yet to be introduced. I know you're not up on the Fantastic Four. I do like them.
I like them.
Yeah,
I just don't think that. I think Marvel is over. I think people are overhyping their popularity and relevance to what they are now.
Right.
Like when people, if you walk to some random person on the street and said, name 10 Marvel characters, like I bet Fantastic Four isn't, especially now, you're going to hear Star-Lord before you hear Mr. Fantastic or Human Torch or Thing.
No, I'd give you that.
And I just think they have some people think they're like this ace in the hole. I just think they're another movie that if they do it right and they can bring them back, they're classically a great franchise to have. But to the points that you made, the fact that they stopped writing them, they're just not as relevant, not great, but relevant as they used to. I mean, because they used to be like the thing.
They were Marvel's first.
Literally.
Marvel's first family is what they said.
Yeah.
I mean, they definitely were. I think the first heroes that Stanley created.
Yeah.
For the Marvel.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So we haven't even asked our boy over there.
Yeah.
And I know you are well versed on the Marvel movies, at least, right? I mean, what's your background? Were you familiar with the animated or like the comics, or do you just watch the movies?
I'm mostly just a movie guy, honestly, but I love Tobey Maguire as a little kid, and I love the newest Spider-Man a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you guys. The phase that they're on right now hasn't been as
compelling.
And have you watched them? You've watched the movies and you've seen the ones that
most of them that you said. Not Quantumania, but
yeah,
Love and Thunder. I loved Ragnarok. I'm with you.
I do. Ragnarok's so good.
But I'll go back to that movie. I can't say much for the new ones.
Right.
Yeah.
No. I mean, they could really only go up, man. I mean, but which is sad because Phase 5, I think, was, Ant-Man to be the first one was expected to kind of put them in there or to put them back in their former glory. And it just wasn't more.
I tell you what, I'm telling you, the thing I'm looking forward to most that's like officially been announced is X-Men 97. I'm more looking forward to that than any of the other stuff.
Great, actually.
Yeah.
I think, is that this summer? No. Maybe.
It's within the next 12 months.
Okay.
Physical months.
Yeah.
What's that? Can you talk about it?
Do you remember did you watch the original X-Men animated series?
On Fox?
Fox?
Uh-uh.
Okay, but they're kind of revamping that.
It's a continuation.
It's a continuation of that. X-Men
voice actors
97.
and
Yep,
everything.
the original.
And people look at this as they really did a good job for what they had back in the day of taking a classic X-Men story and replicating that in animated form.
Oh,
they
yeah.
really did a good job.
The Phoenix Saga,
Yeah,
and I mean,
they gave it time. It wasn't like trying to be done in 30 minutes cartoon form. They ran like a 5.
You talk about a great show. I mean, for adults, kids.
Oh, man.
On Disney Plus, you can still watch the original. 94, 90. When did that show? Was it 90? Was it 97 when the show started?
No, it wasn't
94.
7 when it started.
It was like right around when
back
like
in 92, man.
Okay, I still have the Sega Genesis game of it.
Yeah.
But to me, that's still to me the best X-Men I've seen. Better than any of the live, minus Logan.
Right.
But still, that's like canon X-Men. And to me, that's what I think of X-Men.
Well, they had the classic lineup too that a lot of people think of. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Beast and Wolverine,
Gambit, Storm,
Cyclops,
Rogue.
Gambit, yeah, all those guys. So I am excited about. I think they call it X-Men 97 because that's where it ran for maybe 4 or 5 years. So
yeah.
But it definitely debuted in 92.
Yeah.
Because I remember that was coming on at the same time as Batman the animated series.
And Spider-Man the animated series. That was
That was a nice
prime
little Fox
time
block there back then.
TV. That was my childhood.
Yeah, mine too.
Back to back to back. It was.
Yeah.
That was one of the first things I remember watching as a kid is the X-Men. I loved it. And still to this day, Wolverine's my favorite Marvel character of all, if you count X-Men into the Marvel universe.
Is he your favorite? That is.
Oh yeah, by far. Wolverine. Yeah.
Okay. See, Spider-Man would be mine.
Spider-Man would be number 3. Thor's number 2.
That's an interesting top 3.
My dad was Thor's his favorite. So
Wolverine, Thor,
Wolverine,
Spider-Man.
Thor, Spider-Man, Gambit, and Nightcrawler.
What? Really? Those are your top 5? I like that you picked Nightcrawler and Gambit. I don't even know if I can tell you my top 5. Spider-Man.
Spider-Man again.
Spider-Man's
and
my
then
number
Cap would be
one,
up there
for sure.
too. Cap,
Oh, that's what I was going to go down with. Captain America.
Captain and then Daredevil.
And because the Trinity of Marvel, to me, even though I know I don't count, even Spider-Man's my favorite character, I don't count him as the Trinity of Marvel. Trinity of Marvel to me is Thor,
Iron Man and
Captain America.
Yeah.
That's the Trinity. And I say that because DC refers to their Trinity as
Batman,
Superman,
Wonder Woman, and
Batman
Superman.
and Wonder Woman. Yeah. So to me, that's the opposite.
Yeah.
You know?
I find I'm like the dark, like, because obviously, like, Wolverine, Thor in the comics especially is a lot darker than
It's not different than
Love and Thunder. Daredevil is up there for me.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, even when I think of Spider-Man, like the animated series, Spider-Man's still my favorite over
Really?
any of them. Yeah. I mean, I think for anybody too, when you grow up with a version, like that's just kind of your version.
Yeah,
That was
for
the
sure.
one I started with long before, even the first Tobey movie came out. I had watched Spider-Man for years, watching that particular version, and
Right.
they can go. He's in college in that one, so he's a little more mature. It's a little darker. So yeah, he was always my guy. And then Nightcrawler and Gambit were I thought they were cool as crap.
They are cool
I love
characters.
them.
I mean, they would make my top 5 X-Men for sure.
Yeah. I just started cosplaying Gambit because he's like my guy. Cyclops, I've always been me. He's a little Boy Scouty to me.
That's what they need to do too, is make sure they come correct with Cyclops.
Yeah,
Because
you ain't kidding.
He's supposed to be he's one guy who they failed, even though the X-Men movies
And they had a perfect
some of them
casting
are
for him,
loved,
too.
You know what I mean? The original first 2 at least, but they failed that character in every movie.
Yeah, and they had perfect casting. James Marsden's perfect for him.
But he was never to me
Yeah.
the leader of Cyclops like he.
It was all Wolverine.
Yep. Indeed.
And it's weird in the comics too because, right, they use him as the Boy Scout, and then as of late, after the newer Phoenix saga, he like absorbed the Phoenix power and became like a huge a-hole.
Yeah.
And now their child, Hope Summers, is like one of the main characters of that. So I'd be curious to see how if and how she plays in everything. But I hope when they do the X-Men that, again, Cyclops he's Captain America of that. Like, and they use him, right? And I want the damn original costumes. I don't want leather.
No.
And I don't want Wolverine in a wife beater. I want him in yellow.
I think that's
or brown, and I want Cyclops in his blue.
Marvel won't let us down when that happens. When they come up there, they won't. They've done such a great job of carrying the costumes from print to live action. They know we've been, even though, like I said, the X-Men movies are held in high regard. Some of them, not all of them, are held in high regard. That was one major complaint, is we never got that true, accurate costume.
Right. I have a couple questions, then we'll hop off of here. Number one, it'll be curious on this. Ryan Reynolds Deadpool, how do you think he's going to tie in, if at all, with the X-Men when they come in? Because he is an X-Men, technically.
Yeah, no, he will, and he'll probably make some comment about, you guys aren't like the ones that I remember, or something like that. I think you mentioned Deadpool, because that is here, that's in one of the phases. I think we'll get, he'll somehow, it's going to be a multiverse trip.
I heard it's its own thing.
Him too.
I heard it's just its own thing.
See, I've heard that he will somehow be after this multiverse trip that him and Wolvie go on a little adventure.
That's gonna be so great.
He'll be left in the MCU universe.
Yeah.
So that's
I could see that. Yeah.
Transfers over.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Yeah,
I could see that.
I mean, the only thing, like, it's not going to tie into other.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. I don't know. It won't be like.
Oh no! If you're going to use him, you need to figure out a way for him to be relevant to the new guys, because you can't have Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen in there, and then all of a sudden.
Although Patrick Stewart just said that.
And him and Ian McKellen, they're going to be in.
They just said,
they're going to be in it, dude. Stand by. Yeah, they're going to be in it. 1,000%.
That would be.
Which would be great. But and then I guess my final question is, we've been talking about the X-Men. Who do you have as like the core? Because obviously they're going to do a lot, but the X-Men, the core guys, they're going to have as the team.
I hope I don't live everybody.
So we have Xavier, obviously.
We got Professor X. Yep. We got
Wolverine's a must.
Wolverine. We
Cyclops.
Have Cyclops. We have Storm. We have Rogue. We have Jean Grey.
Gambit.
Gambit's there, and then
Jubilee.
No, I don't count Jubilee. I would rather have Shadowcat, Kitty Pryde.
Oh, there you go. I love that. Colossus?
Colossus, and then Nightcrawler.
I hope they do Nightcrawler.
9 characters. I know it's
no, but they're a team. That's what they should be.
That's my team. And then I left him out, but then I know you can't. But Iceman.
I love Iceman.
And then Angel. I mean, I just love all those. They have some great characters.
Yeah. I admit, growing up especially, I am more X-Men than I am Avenger, like other Marvel characters. Like I just name. If you name me like my top 20 Marvel, I guarantee you most of them are X-Men.
Right.
Because same Iceman, Angel, even the bad guys like Sabretooth, Magneto, way up on I love those characters.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. But no, and I know it's 10, but that is
Juggernaut.
Juggernaut there. But no, I think that would be it. Like I said, Iceman's part of it. It's almost like and I think I left Beast out too. Did I say?
Oh, you got that Beast.
So I mean, we're looking at it. I know, and they'll never do it. But if I could get any groupings of those guys, I think that's the crew I want to see.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's the core X-Men to me.
The thing about
are you with the same?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean. X-Men animated series. If they're there, I mean,
that was one thing I didn't like, is they did leave to me Colossus, and it would have been perfect if they had also Colossus. I know
they're briefly in it, but they're not X-Men. Colossus is in another country, and Jubilee helps him a couple times, but they make him very heroic, which is great, but you don't see him as much with the actual team. Iceman kind of the same. Nightcrawler has his own thing. He appears. Wolverine and Nightcrawler are really tight, and their dynamics really cool. But what I was saying with them, with its own universe, I mean, you can have obviously X-Men, but Wolverine standalone, Cyclops standalone, Gambit standalone. You could have Nightcrawler standalone. So Magneto, you can give.
Yep.
I've always been curious. Why don't they ever make standalone films about any of the villains?
Well, they did try. I mean, there was going to be, but X-Men Origins.
Marvel in general. Marvel
flopped. Right,
Marvel.
But I'm saying Marvel in general. But they were. That was you asked the question, and the plan was everybody was going to get their own little spinoff. Wolverine got his. His was the first one launched. X-Men Origins Wolverine.
The only one.
Yeah, and because it didn't do well.
Yeah, no, it didn't.
Because right after that was supposed to be X-Men Origins Magneto. That was next on the agenda.
Yeah.
But then they incorporated his story into First Class once Wolverine flopped.
Right.
So there was talk of that, and they are kind of doing that in the Sony world because they have no choice.
Yeah. But they made it more hero-y. Yes. Like I want Venom.
Yeah.
Like real Venom. Make Saber. I want to see Doctor Doom. I don't need Doctor Doom. I want to see him. Or Magneto. Thanos. Would have been cool to see him up doing whatever he was doing before he came down.
Now, let me ask you this then. From this point of view, are they just still being villains, or are they somehow being put into a light of...
Oh, hell no. I want to see them doing villain stuff.
Okay. I like that following.
Like, to me, it's just like, look at Joker. $1 billion. You don't need, you can have him in it, but one thing about Marvel, even the one gripe about Marvel in phases 1, 2, and 3, the villains up until Thanos were so weak.
Yes.
And they're just there to serve
Loki. He was.
But was he really a villain? No.
Well,
like,
people forget that in that first Avengers movie, he was snatching people's eyeballs.
He was.
I mean,
but he was joking and he was like flip flopping, and I wouldn't say he was as terrifying or menacing as like Thanos. You know what I mean? But to your point, yeah. But I don't know. But a lot of the times they were just there to serve the purpose of the hero, which is fine. You're telling it through the hero's point of view. But I think it would be cool to see them go. Even like Kingpin, like show him doing his thing and have Spider-Man show up, have Daredevil show up.
Peripherally, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. But I just hope it gets better. I really do.
And I do too. And what's the next film on the agenda? I think is what, Guardians?
Guardians.
Marvel?
I think it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that. I swear, guys, we like Marvel.
We do, but
it's part of the frustration. It's part of the frustration is you want it to be bad, be good so bad, and you're just so used to the standard of what it's been for so long. You just kind of get spoiled by it, and just right now it's up in the air, and we'll see. But let us know what you guys think. Please leave a comment. Let us know what you're looking forward to, what you thought of Ant-Man, just in general about the state of Marvel. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. Please hit that subscribe button. Thank you again to Nomadic State of Mind for sponsoring this episode. Lee, it was awesome to talk about everything Marvel, and we really look forward to chatting about more of the Triple C. Check us out next time, and we'll see you soon.
Later.